American English, American English. Teach and learn American English.
Welcome to Teaching Tips from American English. In this teaching tip topic, John Kotnarowski will examine some important characteristics of academic writing and 2 activities that can help students write more clearly and persuasively in the pre-writing stage. Welcome, John.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Academic Writing Tips Part 1, Brainstorming and Skeleton Outlines. My name is John Kotnarowski, and it is my pleasure to be here with you today. Let's get started. I have 2 goals for this video. First, I would like to review several important characteristics of effective academic writing. Second, I would like to show 2 activities that can help students write more clearly and persuasively in the pre-writing stage of the writing process. There are many characteristics of good academic writing, including using formal vocabulary and more complex grammar, using the work of others as evidence to support the writer's point of view, responding to a question that includes specific requirements, and, most importantly, writing clearly. As we can see here, there are many other skills that writing instructors must teach their students. These are only a few of the major skill areas that writers should be familiar with, and each of these skill areas can be divided into individual skills. Once we have identified the major skill area that we would like our class to focus on, it is important to divide that major skill into smaller, more focused skills that we can actually teach. For example, there are lots of different ways to teach someone how to do pre-writing. Some examples include reading and taking notes, brainstorming activities, and writing outlines. For the remainder of this video, I will explain how to include brainstorming activities and skeleton outlines in your classroom in order to help students write more convincing, persuasive essays. Brainstorming is a term that writers use for discussion. During a brainstorming activity, learners try to say or write many ideas that are connected to a particular topic. There are many different ways to brainstorm, but it's good to choose a way that works well for your student's purpose of the writing. For persuasive writing, I recommend using a pro-con list. A pro-con list requires students to come up with a list of pros, which are positive things or advantages of a topic, and cons, which are negative things or disadvantages. Pro-con brainstorming can be a very fun discussion activity because it involves sharing opinions and trying to justify them. Here's how it works. Place students in small groups of 3 to 4 people and share a question about a writing topic with them. Let's do one here as an example in this video. The question we will focus on today is, should teachers allow cell phones and other digital devices in the classroom? Then, with a table like this one on the slide, give each group 5 to 10 minutes to come up with as many pros and as many cons in response to this question as possible. So now, please pause the video and take a moment to think of 1 pro and 1 con for this question. Should teachers allow cell phones and other digital devices in the classroom? What is 1 advantage? What is 1 disadvantage? If you're watching this with a group or a colleague, share your idea with others. Finally, after all the groups have had time to brainstorm, bring the class back together for a whole group discussion. As the teacher, you can write the ideas down on the board, or you could ask students to write down new ideas they hear from their classmates. The final product will look like this. Feel free to pause here and take a closer look. Now, after working together to create the list of ideas, you will need to start thinking about how to best organize them. You can do this by using an outline, which is just a term for a general plan for a piece of writing. Outlines help to order the information before we start writing. A skeleton outline is a very basic outline. It contains 2 parts, a sentence that tells the writer's opinion about the topic, and a sentence for each reason, pro or con, that the writer will use to support his or her opinion. When students create their own skeleton outlines, ask them to start by looking at the brainstorming list of pros and cons. When they are looking at that list, ask them 1 question. Which side has better reasons, the pro side or the con side? Give them a chance to discuss with a partner, but tell them that they must choose one side. Otherwise, it may be difficult to write a persuasive essay. Once each student has picked a side, ask a follow-up question. What are the 2 best reasons that support your opinion? Ask the students to individually go through the reasons that the class has brainstormed and pick 2 pros or 2 cons. In this example, I have selected the side that claims teachers should allow students to use cell phones in class because they have helpful programs and they allow parents to contact their children. Ask students to complete the following statements. Using these fill-in-the-blank activities provides students with some guidance. Remember, Part 2 is important. While it may seem like Part 2 is just repeating information, it is really asking students to make a choice and decide which piece of evidence is the strongest. Here is an example of the completed form. You can see that Part 1 is a sentence that tells the writer's opinion about the topic, and Part 2 has a sentence for each reason, pro or con, that the writer will use to support his or her opinion. Summing up, I began this video by discussing several important characteristics of effective academic writing. Then I showed you how using pro-con brainstorming discussions and skeleton outlines in the pre-writing stage of the writing process can help students write more clearly and persuasively. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't miss the next installment of this series where I'll talk about pre-writing using PIE outlines.
To check out other great teaching tip videos, be sure to subscribe to our American English YouTube channel. You can find resources for teachers on the American English website by clicking on the link listed here. And if you haven't already, be sure to like us on the American English for Educators Facebook page.